Greetings everyone, and welcome to our session of DevOps. In today's session, we are going to be terminating all the 5 stages of the cicd using a freestyle job. We started last time and we did not conclude. We started in the last class and we did not conclude. So we are going to be terminating all the 5 stages of the cicd with a freestyle job. So without much further ado, let us get into our console and create our infrastructure. In order to help us create our infrastructure very fast, I have a launch template that I've already made here, from where I just want to spin up our AWS infrastructure. For those who have done AWS, they will understand what is launch template. It helps you to program all your computers. It helps you to program all your computers and spin them up at once. You see, I'll no more go through all the various stages of looking for security group, looking for key pair, looking for whatsoever. I'm not more going through all those stages. I've created one. I wanted to create 3. This one should be the dev instance. Okay, let me create the other 2. I'll launch from my launch template, and have a launch template with a version 2, and I'm creating 2 computers. Okay, successful. All right, go to my instances. 3 computers are there, so have a dev instance, we have the QA instance, and then we have the prod instance. Okay, as we said, we know in the dev instance we are going to be doing our building there. All our machines are running in the dev instance. We are going to be doing our building there. The QA is where we are going to be doing our testing, and the production is where we are going to be deploying to the client. So let us connect to our instances. Our first instance we have connected. Now in this instance, what are we going to do? In this instance, we are going to install Jenkins, and as I said last time, I already have a script for Jenkins. I create a VI editor and paste the script in Jenkins, and that my script, where is the script? It should be my Jenkins script. That my script also has Git and Maven installed. It also has JDK already installed, and it will update the Jenkins machine. So this is my script. What happened? Okay, I now execute my shell script. I made a mistake. Instead of full stop, I put a comma. While it is installing our Jenkins, we go back to our terminal and spin up our second machine, which is a QA machine. And in our QA machine, we are supposed to install Tomcat, and I also has a script for Tomcat already prepared. Call it Tommy sh. This is my script for Tomcat already prepared. The script will just execute Tomcat and then come and open me the interface for configuration. Okay, we'll go back to our Jenkins and see how things are going there. Jenkins has installed, and we need to configure Jenkins and enter its saver. So we come to our instances and we take the IP of the Jenkins saver. And because we know that Jenkins run on port 8080, we are in. We copy our generated password from the Jenkins server. And we get in. Okay, while the plugins are installing, we get back to our Tomcat server. It is already telling us that we should enter our credentials. Remember that you are going to use all these credentials. You are going to use all these credentials during your configuration of deployment. So what are the credentials we are going to use? In the QA instance, let's use training as the user and then DevOps123 as the password. This is what we are going to use in the QA instance. And then we restart sudo service Tomcat 9 restart. Good, we are done with this one. And let us launch the 10 machine. Let's just enter Jenkins. Put username admin, password, we confirm the same password. We'll just take our full name and we save and go ahead. Continue. We are in our Jenkins server. Good. Now let's go to our production server and finish the configuration there. In our production server, we have to connect. Okay, we connected, and as I said, I have my Tomcat already ready, so I use the VI editor. And this is my Tomcat code. And then I execute it. While it is executing, I go and prepare our credential usage. For the first machine, we had training as our username. For the second machine, we are going to have testing as our username and the same password. Okay, so we copy it, and then we restart. Should be Tomcat 9. All right, we have done all our configurations. And then the next thing is we should install plugins with Jenkins. All right, where are we? Let us be visualizing where we are, because in software development, we are always drawing our architecture before we know what we are doing. We are at this level. We have set up 3 computers. We've set up 3 computers. In this first computer, what is installed there? Jenkins is installed here. Jenkins, Maven's, and Git are installed here. And this one, what is installed there? Tomcat. And this one, what is installed there? Tomcat. That is what we have done right now. Okay, that is where we are. We have configured all these servers. So let's come now here. We have given the user password for this one and this one. Let's come now here and download all the various plugins that we are going to need. And I said you do need a couple of about 10 plugins, but for now we are going to be interested with just a few of them for the freestyle job. So how to download a plugin in Jenkins? We go to our dashboard. I'm to manage Jenkins. We come down to manage plugins. Then we go to available plugins. And now to see the list of plugins that we have these are the list of all the plugins that we have. But for now, we are going to use deploy to container. We are going to use copy artifact, right? These 2 plugins are going to be of good importance to us. So let us install the plugin deploy to container and copy artifact. Okay, for the time being, just for this job. For other jobs, we are going to install all these other plugins. So deploy to container, first plugin. Let's look for deploy to container. I will show you what this plugin does when we reach there. Deploy to container. We deploy without starting the machine. This is it installing down here. Successful. Then the second one that we are going to install is copy artifact. Install without starting. Is it installing? It has installed without starting. Okay, our process in our infrastructure is set up. Since our process is set up now, let us start with cloning a repository. We start with cloning a repository. Let us clone one of my repositories. We are going to clone. Okay guys, when you come to my I'll send you the link to clone this repository. Take this Maven repository here. That is the repository we are going to be working on henceforth. Take this Maven repository. To clone a repository, you do not need my credentials. It is a public repository. I've put it public. You do not need my credentials. Okay, just copy this code. You will be able to clone the whole of this repository. It is this Maven repository. The name is Maven. Clone the repository. How do we clone the repository? I just simply open might be let us delete this one and create a folder called web. In that folder we can open, and then we open git bash here, where now we can run our git clone, and then we paste what we are trying to clone. Okay, our repository is cloned. This is a Maven repository. What I always advise is when you clone the repository, you delete the git commit, and then you copy the repository content. These are all the repository content. Copy the repository content and keep in a different folder where you might say web app 1. Now this one is where you paste your new one. So what do? You open git bash in that new one, and then you run git init. You look at the status and make sure it is initialized. Yes. Then you run git add, and then you run git commit. Web completed. Okay, our commit has been finally committed. So we go back to our GitHub now. You will come back to your GitHub, and then you create a repository, a new repository for yourself. And then in this repository I shall use web app 1. The name is available. I create a repository. It's a public repository. Any person can download from there. If it is a private repository, I'm going to give credentials, but it is a public repository. Create. The repository is created. How is it created? With our code to connect to that repository. So I copy the code. I then paste on my okay, I've connected to the repository. Now I'm pushing the code to this repository. Okay, the code gets pushed to the repository, and then I refresh. I can see that the code is here, committed just 1 minute ago. Now I have the code in my repository. Where are we standing right now? We are standing at this level. Our code is already now available at GitHub repository here, right? We have our code available here. So what we just need to do is start our processes of continuous download, continuous build, continuous testing, continuous delivery, deployment, and continuous delivery. So we are going to do all that right away. So we go back to our code, go back to our dashboard of Jenkins. We create a job. We call this one web app, a freestyle job. Okay, our job is created. As I said, as I'm going, if you have a problem, just raise your hand up. We have much to do today, that's why I'm going a bit fast. Our job is created. As our job is created, now we come to source code management. In order to tell Jenkins where to pick our code, we take source code management. What is the URL of where we are downloading this job from? We come to our GitHub repository and we copy the URL from here, the HTTPS URL, please copy it from here, and then you link it here, and then you of course know that you are working in the main branch, not the master. If you are working in the master, no problem. Me, I'm working in the main. Okay, so when I do that, that is all about continuous download. Continuous download is only copying the link and then pasting in Jenkins. That is what we will do. We build. We have triggered the first build option. Let us see if the job is being built. Yes, look down here, the job is built here. The job has built successfully. That means our continuous download has succeeded. We have done a build. Now we have done a download from here to here. Now what are we going to do? We are going to do a build of the WAR file. We want to build now the WAR file. Let us build the WAR file. We have done download. Let us do now the build. Now for the build process, you configure the job that you have already configured. You come to build steps, and then you go to add build steps, invoke top Maven targets. That is a step that you are going to take. We are building using Maven, and the command we are writing is package. Package builds the job for us. That's all we do about building. And then we apply and we save and we run our code. Build now. The eyes should be found here. Our second code is being built. If there is a problem, there are log outputs that you will see to make sure that you know where exactly the problem is coming from. I bet you can spend the whole day building these things without ever having a success. So you always go to console output. I would like to open it in a new. Always go to console output. These are the outputs telling you what has been done, everything that has been done, building the WAR file, where you can see the WAR file, where you can see it. The WAR file has been built, and where is it built? It is built and kept somewhere, right, where you can go there physically and see. It is kept at the Jenkins working directory. So when you come at the end, you see finished success. That means our build has been successfully done. So where are we? We are at the level of we have built this. So after building, what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to deploy to the QA server. We are supposed to deploy here. This one is the QA, right? We deploy to the QA. And then this one is the prod. Okay, this one is a development instance. All right, so we have done the build. We want to deploy now here. What are we expecting to do? Deployment is just copying from here and keeping here. And when you copy and keep here, what are you going to see? You are going to see the application already coming live. The application will come live here. We can access that application when you deploy here. It will come live. So let's do that. So after we must have built, we'll configure the job again. Whenever you want to change anything in that job, you come to configure. Now we have downloaded the source code. We have gone through the build steps of building. Now we are at the post build step. See the way these things are organized. You download source code, you build, and then you go to post build. In the post build, okay, you are asking yourself, what do you want to do with what you have built? What do you want to do? You want to deploy WAR to a container. Deploy to container. Now I told you that I will tell you the use of those plugins later on. The first plugin that we downloaded was deploy to container. If you do not deploy this plugin, deploy to container, you are not going to see this option. You are not going to see the option deploy war.here to container. You are not going to see that option. So that's the use of that plugin. So I take the plugin. Now be very attentive here. We want to deploy. This is where every engine of deployment occurs. When you hear they say deploy application. If you do not demystify this word deploy application, you are going to be hooked in a loop, because you will always be talking about deploy, but what is really deploy? What is it? So as we said, it is all about copying the WAR file to Tomcat. What is Tomcat? Ask your question. What is Tomcat? It's a name. I keep on using it. It's a name. Tomcat. Yes. What is Tomcat? So an advanced person can answer. It is a web server. Yes. What is a web server? What is Tomcat? It is a web server. What is a web server? That is a question. What is a web server? There I will stop a bit to explain these two terms, because it is only when you understand these two terms that you are going to start getting the idea behind deployment. Now a web server is a computer. It's a computer, but that computer has been configured such that it can be able to host a website or a web application. Your computer that you have in front of you right now might not be a web server. It is just a simple computer, but you can turn it into a web server. How can you do it? In order to turn that computer that you have in front of you into a web server, all you need to do is to install a web server application. And there are so many web server applications. We have Tomcat, we have Nginx, we have IIS for Windows. There are so many web servers, right? There are so many web servers. So what you do to a computer in order to make it host websites that are available to the internet, or host web applications that are available to the internet, is to install a web server, right? And we are using Tomcat 9. We are using Tomcat 9 here. It is a version. 9 is a version. Okay, so we are going to deploy this WAR to inside Tomcat folders. When you deploy inside Tomcat folders, you know that Tomcat is available to the internet at which port? So Tomcat opens a port from your computer to the internet, and it opens which port? It opens the port 8080. Tomcat will open. So when you install Tomcat into your computer, Tomcat opens the port 8080 to the internet, which means somebody having the public IP of this machine and using this port 8080 can be able to have access into your computer and see. And which means this your computer can also use this port through Tomcat 8080 and show people things that the computer is having. Okay, so that's the meaning. So when you hear of the server of this company is found here, the server of this company is just a machine that has a server, a web server application, just like Tomcat, Nginx, or anything. That application has been installed in that machine. So all what we were doing at the level of QA, configuring, installing Tomcat and configuring it, was installing the web server Tomcat. Okay, until you start getting the idea behind a web server, that is when you start appreciating why we need to install a web server here and why we need to install a web server here. And you can obviously answer the question. We need to install a web server here because the program that we are deploying here goes live. The QA guys need to see the program going live, okay, before they use their test code on it. So let us now deploy into Tomcat. Okay, here, this is what we are calling deployment. What are we deploying? We are deploying the WAR file. Every application that has the extension .war. We are not defining a particular application. We have built a particular WAR file, but we are going to use ****.war. I explain the meaning of this. In your real life in the job, most of the time you are not going to be working with one artifact. There are going to be so many artifacts, and all those artifacts are going to have the .war extension. So what this is saying is that copy all the artifacts, all of them that are found in all the folders and that are having the .war extension. You don't need to start precising that copy me this particular artifact. It is if you want to go and select just that particular artifact that you have just built, yes, then we know that our artifact is web server. You can now select it from here, that take me web server.war, right? But now we want to just prepare your mind that in the industry you will always be taking all the artifacts, because there will be multiple applications running and sending to you, and you'll be building generating WAR files and all the like. So you just be copying all of them and executing. So this is the meaning of ****.war. I've explained that very well, because don't get confused there. Now with essence to context part, for context part, let us write web server. This is what you are going to put. Remember that Tomcat is exposing the application at the port 8080. That means when you put the IP address of this port, let's say IP address is 12.15.10/8080, you are going to see Tomcat. What you will see here is Tomcat. If you put this address, what you will see here is Tomcat, right? Now, but do we really want Tomcat only? We do not want Tomcat. We want our application. So in order to have our application, we are going to add a context path to say that, okay, get into this address says get into this QA instance. This port says get into Tomcat. I hope you get it. Get into this QA instance, get into Tomcat, and find me the application web server. That is what it is saying. That is what this line is saying. And that is what we are going to use in order to access this particular computer like this. Get into this computer, that's the address, IP address of the computer. Get into this port and find me web server, right? That is what we are going to be doing. So presently, that is this context part. You can give anything, you can put anything, but make sure that when you come to interrogate your QA server, make sure you ask for what you precise during your setting of context part. So that is the context part here. That's what the context part is all about. Now the next thing that we go in terms of deployment is, what are we deploying to? we are deploying to Tomcat. You can have several all right, Roberto, before we continue.
Yes, sir. Please, I don't get very well what is that context. Is it a folder in the computer, in the web server?
Okay, what is context part? Is it a folder in the web server? No, it is a path that you are going to design for your application. That is the path which, because if anybody uses this 124.858/8080, anybody uses this pod, you will get into this machine. It's like getting into the computer and then you don't know what to do in that computer. It's like you are going to class 4B in school. You want to go to class 4B, but now you have to first of all enter the campus of the building. Now when you enter the campus of the building, this one is a tag. It is not a folder, it is a tag, right? Not a folder. I understand now your question. You're asking whether this web server is a folder inside Tomcat. No, it's not a folder, it's a tag. We are just simply tagging the fact that we want our application to be available through the tag called web server. Okay, it's like saying that Form 4B is not actually a classroom, but it is a tag to the place where you want to go, right? It is directing you to where exactly you want to go. And we are saying that in order to direct traffic to meet our application, we are going to use the extension web server. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. That means that if somebody just writes the IP address followed by the port number alone, he will not access our application.
No, he will not be able to access our application. He will access Tomcat, but not our application. He will access Tomcat very well, but not our application. Okay?
Okay.
We'll try that and see. Right now, let us just go directly and access port 8080 where Tomcat is installed. We said that when Tomcat is installed, we'll see there will be something like it works. So let's take the QA instance and take the public IP, and then we go here. We know that Tomcat is available at port 8080. You see, what we are seeing is Tomcat, right? What we are seeing here right now is Tomcat. But if we have now, let us go back to our application now and finish the configuration. Okay, we have put web server. Then now we are trying to put the particular container which we know that we are using Tomcat. Your screen might be having a problem here when you are working in a laptop, but what I usually do is I select another one, delete it again, raise the screen further, because I'm looking for Tomcat 9. It might be quite right down. Tomcat 9 can be right down, and for you to select it can be causing problems. Right down. This is Tomcat 7. Raise it right higher. I want Tomcat 9. Okay, I can see 9 now. Great. All right, I select Tomcat 9. Remember our configurations? They are asking for those configurations now. They are asking you, what is your credentials? So, do you have any credentials of Tomcat 9? Do you have any? If you do not have any, you will not have any access to Tomcat 9. So, add the credentials. Let's create the credentials that we had. If you do not put the same credentials that you created, you are in big trouble. What were our credentials? We know that the first one had our username as training and password as devops123. Those are our credentials for Tomcat. The username was training, and then the password was devops123, and then you give an ID to that to this particular variable or credentials. The ID will be Tomcat. Let's put ID should be Tomcat auth, and the description should be the same thing. Tomcat auth just starts for anything. You can just identify it with anything that you feel to identify. You can identify it with it, and when you do that, you add. Good. When you add now the credentials, you will see that you have some credentials here where the username is training, right? Have that credential put here, and then for that you are going to need a URL of Tomcat. This is a URL of Tomcat. Okay. It is always nice, since the two machines are found in the AWS platform. It is always good that we use the private IP. Always nice that we use the private IP for Jenkins to authentify with Tomcat. What we are doing is trying to make Jenkins know that Tomcat is here. We are trying to make Jenkins to realize that Tomcat is available somewhere, and Tomcat is listening to port 8080. That's what we are telling Jenkins. Tomcat is available and is listening to you to port 8080. We have finished everything as deployment is concerned. Invalid URL. Okay. We have to write our HTTP / then this, I think, like that. Let me copy this and see. Normally when you copy this, it comes. If you use the public IP or the private IP, it has no problem, but for security reasons it is always good to use private IP. Okay, we got that. So that is the URL for Tomcat, for the Tomcat computer. That's all we have to do there, and we click apply and save. What have we done? What have we just done? We have said that we have set all the parameters of this machine inside this particular machine like this. We have set all the parameters for this machine to access this machine inside this particular machine, and we have made it possible that you are going to be transferred to you here, and when you will be transferred to you here, you will be available through a particular port number, and we can see you by using this tag. Okay, so let us run our application and see whether our code actually works. We are running for the third time. Success. It has succeeded. So if truly it has succeeded, therefore if we come here now and we put slash and we put web server, we should see that application working, right? We should see that our application working. If truly everything has worked well, we should see that application working. And this is the hello world application. If you see hello world here, then that application can be working. Don't mind, because it is just a hello world application. It can be an application as big as Facebook, as big as LinkedIn, as big as anything. Just take the whole code. If it is written in Java, just take the whole code like that and just follow these procedures. The application will be available live, just like this. So our application is available live. Our app now is particularly live. If I send all of you this particular address, you can see the application live. If I copy this address and I send to you guys at the chat box and you copy it, you will see the application run live. You can try it yourself. Anybody in the world can see the application. It is already live. Okay, so we have finished at this level. We have sent the application to this level. The application is now live. What have we done? We have done continuous download, we have done continuous build, we have done continuous deployment. Now we want to do continuous testing. Unfortunately, testing is never our job, and after we are going to do continuous delivery. Okay, these are our steps: continuous download, continuous build, continuous deployment, continuous testing, and continuous delivery. Okay, so let us now start continuous testing. Before we start continuous testing, let us go to the other link. This one is remaining just a few minutes to get finished. Let me generate the other one, and I will let's just log out and then we generate the other one. I believe everybody is in. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay. In order to do continuous testing, there are some few things I will explain to you about continuous testing. Unfortunately, as I keep on saying, testing is a branch of DevOps in which if we enter there, we might get stuck inside. So it is a branch that if you want to specialize in testing, you might try to start learning the other tools like Selenium and the rest, right? But there are specialized people for writing Selenium scripts for testing. I'll explain to you how testing occurs, right? I'll explain to you exactly what is testing. So for testing to occur, the first thing you have to know is that we need to create another job. This is what happens during testing. In testing, right, these QA guys, what they do is they are going to write scripts. They will write scripts, right? These testing guys will write scripts, and these scripts will also be available in a particular GitHub account. The scripts will be available in a particular GitHub account. Okay, now when they will write the scripts, you the DevOps engineer, you are going to ask them for the repository URL for that account, and then you are going to perform two things. You are going to download the test scripts. You are going to download the test scripts. Okay, now the question is, where are we downloading the test scripts? Where are we going to download the test scripts? If I say you are going to download the test scripts here, I'm deceiving you, because that is not the right thing. But the code has been sent here. Why will I not be downloading the test scripts here? Because the master player of everything is Jenkins. I'm going to download the codes to Jenkins here. I'm not going to download the codes to Tomcat, to the Tomcat server. I'm going to download the codes to Jenkins. Okay, so every activity takes place here. This is just some sort of a mirror that is doing presentation. Every activity takes place here, and this is the master of those activities. So I'm downloading the test scripts to Jenkins. Okay, when I download the test scripts in Jenkins, I'm going to do the second thing. After downloading test scripts, after I download the test scripts, the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run the test scripts. I'm going to run the test scripts. I repeat again. After I have finished with deployment, my application is already live. What I'm doing is I'm going to ask for the QA team to send me the address for the GitHub account which has the test scripts. Test scripts, as I did explain last time, are scripts that are going to perform automatically the actions that people who are using that application need to perform with the application and see. For example, if the application was supposed to take username, user data, and print receipt, like in the case of a banking application, the test scripts are going to tell the application to do that particular action. You will sit down and you will see a machine just filling spaces, and clicking OK, and a test receipt generated and printing takes place. Nobody touches it. That is the meaning of testing the application, to make sure that it is doing what it is doing. And for that testing to occur like that, scripts needs to be written and executed. So the first thing that we need to do is we are going to download those test scripts, download them from here to Jenkins, not to this place. We are going to download the test scripts from here to here, right? When we finish downloading the test scripts, then we are going to run them. We are going to run the test scripts. We are going to run them. Okay, that is what the testing process is all about. It is in two stages: downloading the test scripts and running them. So let's take for example that the test scripts are available in this directory, in this our GitHub directory. Let's take for example that the test scripts are available here, right? If the test scripts are available here, what you are going to do is you are going to create another job for testing. You create another job for testing, right? Create a second job for testing. It's a freestyle job. A second job for testing has been created. Okay, what do you do with that job? You download from where? From this repository. You download. Okay, that is the first thing that you are going to do. That's the very first thing that you are going to do with this job. You download the test scripts. Okay, when we download the test scripts, apply and save. When we want to download, we run. We run the job. Is it the test script has been downloaded successfully? You can see here a blue tick, ends with a blue tick. Test scripts downloaded successfully. When the test scripts are downloaded successfully, what do? We run the test scripts. We run. Remember that we want to change a job, you go to configure. We run the test scripts. Now, running a test script is actually writing code. We are going to write shell commands. In order to run the text script, we are going to write shell command. Do we know shell? In most of the job interviews, they will always ask you, do you know shell? Are you good with shell? Which type of scripting language do you know? But of course, you can learn scripting on your own, but the testing team is going to give you the test code for you to run, right? They are going to give you a test code for you to run. So where are you going to be running that code? You are going to come to build steps, and then you are going to go to add build steps. Now execute shell. Execute shell. You want to be executing a shell code. So this is the place where you are going to be running your they are going to give you a test a shell command which you will run, which of course, if we just say echo testing passed. Now generally you will write the code here, and then you run your application and then see whether it is doing what it is doing, right? You will write your code, the code that the test team is going to give you, write it here, and then you run your application and see whether it is doing what it is supposed to do. Okay, now you apply and then you save and then you run your code. Let's consider that because we do not have a particular thing, it's just a hello world application, so our testing is successful, right? We have run the code and our testing is successful. Now the test part of the application is finished. The test part of the application is finished. Continuous testing is completed. Okay, continuous testing is completed. The application, we have run the second job. That means testing takes place in the second job that you have created. You have downloaded the testing scripts and then you have run them here. Okay, now when you run the scripts here, the script says testing is completed. Now what is going to happen? You are going to, it is the first job. Remember that you have two jobs now. It is the second job that has run. Okay, it is this job, the second one, that has run. Okay, now how can you now make sure that this job was testing this artifact that was here? This is a job, this is a job. This job is supposed to test this artifact, right? This second job is supposed to test the artifact that was generated by this job. So for this second job to test this artifact, you have to first of all archive the artifact that was generated here and then copy it to this job. Okay, archive the artifact that was made here and then copy the artifact to the second job. So how do you archive the artifact? You go to testing, configure, the build was successful, so we'll go to post build. When we come to post build, add post build action, we see a function here, archive the artifact. When you click like that, nothing will change. Go back up, you will see something here like archive the artifact, right? Artifact to be archived. Artifact to be archived. Which artifact are you trying to archive? Right? You are trying to archive the artifact that was generated from web app. We were saying that we need to archive our artifact, so we put the name of our artifact, but as we said, we will always be using so many artifacts. So the best thing to always do is you are going to use ** $*.var. That means here you are going to just archive every artifact. It's always good practice to archive everything that is available there, except you want really precisions. So we are going to archive that. Apply and save. Now we have applied, archived that. After we do the archiving, what are we going to do now? We need to copy the artifact from the first job to the second job. We have archived the artifact right now, so we need to copy it from here to here, right? So we need to put the configuration of copying the artifact from the first job to the second job. So we configure, and then we go to post build. We come to add post build. No, we go to second job, please. Excuse me. Leave. Oh, blimey. What have I done? We go to second job, configure, and we go to post build actions, add post build actions. Now look for build other projects. Build other projects. That means that what? We are saying that when the first job runs and finish, the second job should take over from where the first job has finished, and then start going ahead. So that is what we are saying, build other projects. So the build other projects, we are coming from where which place are you taking? We are taking from testing job, is it a testing job? Yeah, projects to build, testing, and we apply and serve. So we are saying that from, where are we? What did we do? From the first job, we are supposed to move to the second job. When the first job is finished, we move to the second job, okay, which is the testing process. So the first job takes over from the second job, takes over from the first job, okay. So we are good to go. We run our scripts. Now when we run the scripts, let's be certain with one thing here. The web app job has run 3 times, and the testing job has run how many times? The testing job has run 2 times. So we are saying that if everything goes well, if we have done everything well, because there's some sort of confusion, if we have done everything well, after we finish the build, this job will be at 3, while this other job be at 2. So which job are we running? We are running the third job. When it will run and finish, this other job will take over. That's what we are expecting. We hope it goes like that. We run. Okay. Do we see a job queuing? Let us refresh to see what our, okay, this one ran. We can see clearly that this one ran, but this one did not run. This one did not run. So the confusion that we are having is, am I coming to the testing job and calling the web app job, or am I coming to the web app job and calling the testing job? But you are coming to the web app job and sending to the testing job, right? What we did was we came to the testing job and we were trying to call the testing job again, which is not normal. See what we did. Post build, we had a testing job at this level, which is not normal, right? We delete that, and then we go to, we delete that and we save, at least apply and save, and then we go to the web app job, we configure it, we go to post build, and then we add to post build action, build projects, build other projects. Then we go up and see projects to build. We are building star no, we are building testing. Now there is something I want to tell you. When I click on testing, if you are not careful, you are going to hook here when you are doing this, and it's unfortunately I did not explain it the first time it came out, because some people are going to be hooked when they will reach here. When I click on testing, there is a slight comma that appears, right? If I click here, it will tell me that no such project exists. Did you mean testing? Look at, there is a slight comma here, right? You have to delete that slight comma in order for it to accept that it recognizes that job. You see, it recognizes now. Okay, so you delete that slight comma, don't forget. And then after we take from testing, that is good for us to go. Okay, now let us try to run the job. This one is standing at 4, it should go at 5, and the other job should go at 3. Then we have successfully done something. We are running the job. This one should be going to 5. It has gone to 5. Let's go to the other job and see whether it took the relay. We refresh. Good, it has taken the relay. You see now that this one is at 3, this one is at 5. That means, what have we done? We are capable right now of saying that we have created 2 jobs. At the level of the Tomcat, we have 2 jobs existing. The first job is doing continuous download, continuous build, and continuous deployment. The second job is doing continuous testing, right? The second job is doing continuous testing, okay? And then the last job will do continuous delivery, right? The last job is going to do continuous delivery. So when this job tests, it is going to deliver, right? It sends it back to Jenkins, and then Jenkins delivers here. Okay, so what do we do in order to configure that? We come to our job. When this one will run and finish, it will go back to this one. This one is going to do its testing. When it finishes its testing, we move ahead. Configure. We follow again the steps of post build to deploy. Remember that we want to deploy to container. So when we are deploying to container, we are going to add post build action. Then we have deploy to container, and then we are deploying what? We are deploying XX default point var x star dot var. That is what we are deploying everything. And then now our context path in the QA we had a different context path. Now in production, let us give a different context path. Let's put prod. It's okay like that. And then for our container, we still select Tomcat 9. Remember that we installed Tomcat 9 in nearly all of them, right? We installed Tomcat 9 in nearly all of them. So in all of them actually. So we select Tomcat 9. You always face some difficulties here in selecting if you are using a laptop like me. So you are searching for Tomcat 9. Okay, that's gone. Now remember our credentials. This one is the credentials for the Tomcat machine of the QA. We want to send it now but to the production. We are sending it now but to this other machine, to this one. We are now trying to send the artifact to delivery. We are delivering the artifact. This is a machine that the client is going to see. We are delivering the artifact here. This client is going to see this artifact now come on live. Okay, so we have to put but the credentials of this one. And remember the credentials. What were the credentials of the second machine? The username was testing and the password was the same. Okay, so let's go and create the credentials. Add the credentials. Username was what again? I always make sure. Okay, testing. Username was testing. And then the password was still DevOps 123. And then you can put an ID, like you can even put your name, an ID address, like the description, auth, and then you add. And then now when you click on credentials, here you are seeing known, but when you click on credentials, now you have the other credentials has come in. It is testing. This one that I've just created now, it is testing, and the credentials are added. Now we need the URL of the second production machine. Where is that computer? This should be the computer, this one like this. We need this URL, and the URL is going to be the public IP address. It can also be the private IP address, doesn't matter. Let's first of all check that it works, and then we copy the URL, and then we copy this URL, then we bring to Jenkins and we put here, and then we apply and save. Good. We need to run the job. Let's run the job. Now this one is standing at 3, right? It is standing at 3. Now if we run the job, this one is going to run only, but we need the job to start from the starting. So we need, if we run the first job, the second one will also run. So let's come to the first job and see if we can run the first job. Let us run the job. It is at 5. You should see 6. Yeah. Run successfully. Let us make sure that the second one also runs successfully. The second one was at 3. Let's refresh to see that it goes to 4. It failed. Somebody can see that it failed here. That means Last failure is here. You can discover that the job failed. So we start asking ourselves question. If the job failed, then if we go to /prod, we won't be able to see the job. You see, we are not seeing the job here. So let us go back here and run the job from the third folder and see from the second job itself, please. Let's run the job from the second job, build, and see why it failed. Yeah, the job is failing. And then we come now here and ask, why should this job fail? Go to your console output. Look at why the job is failing. Error, deploy var to container aborted due to exception. No vars found, deploy aborted. No vars found. That means that what? There are no var files found. So if you see this type of error, you will see many errors of this nature, many different type of errors, which console output will always bring out a reason for you to start thinking, what must have happened before you are unable to deploy? What is the issue? What is going on, right? So if they are saying that no vars found, if there are no vars found, then there should be something wrong. And what is that thing wrong? There are two things. Let's enter this testing job and see. The job has failed. The job has run 5 times. Let's see this analysis here. The job has run 5 times and it has failed 2 times. So the var file is not found. So if the var file is not found, what is happening? Let us try to configure it and see whether it is not having the var file. We go to our build, configure. What should be happening that it is not seeing the var file? Let us look at our copy to artifact. They are saying that they did not see a var file here. We have said that they should take this context path. Our var file is supposed to be found here. Okay, let us do something. Let us make sure that the var file is found. Let us delete it. Let us run the job and see something here. It runs successfully, and the last part of the running is that it should copy artifact. Okay, so it has copied the artifact and it has done its testing with the artifact, and the artifact is done. Now what you are going to do now is you are configuring but this first job and not the second job, because the first job truly it is not having a var file. It is going to have but an archive, right? So what we are going to do is we go to the second job. I think freestyle is not something that is used all the times. Freestyle is used most often for your very petty jobs that you have, because configuring all these things is not ideal. So we add we are supposed to deploy no, this is supposed to be the second one. Yep. Okay, build options, add build options, deploy to container, .var and context path port, adding to our container. We take Tomcat 9 and we take this second credentials, and then we take our Tomcat URL, this one, this is our URL. Okay, I believe everything has been done very well. Save and apply and build now. We have a failure. Okay, I am having a meeting in the next few minutes and we have this failure. Please, we are going to see what is happening and come back to this failure, why Tomcat is not deploying. Remind me, we'll begin from that. I don't think I'm going to delete this this job. We'll just leave it like that. Tomorrow we'll just complete it and then we see why Tomcat is failing to deploy to production. Is there anything that anybody has not understood as far as this is concerned? Any question? I have I think in the next 5 minutes I need to go. Any question? Declan, you are on and off.
Network issues, sir.
All right, Roberto, anything?
Just a little bit big in my head. I would need to first of all practice.
Exactly, that is what I know. That is what I know. So many questions can be answered or can be raised when you are trying to practice now and making sense out of what you are trying to practice. That is why I said without practice you only sit in class like this and see stages being done, but you will not understand what and why they are doing all those stages. It is when you want to do it and you ask yourself that, but why am I doing this? And when you ask yourself that, but why am I doing this, the answers start roaming in your head and you either answer some of those answers or you write down some questions to ask in class. So I believe just after the class like this, it is difficult to have reasonable questions. So guys, we'll continue tomorrow and practice this very well and make sure you ask your questions tomorrow. That's why I always say that practice the previous classes immediately so that you ask questions. Let us not go far and then somebody write me a question of 4 or 5 classes back. It is showing that you are really coming far behind. Okay, all right. In the absence of any other question, yes.
What about AWS? What about solution to that?
We are continuing today.
That's new.
Yes,
Okay.
we are continuing today. My health is at least restored a bit. Okay guys, see you guys next week and have a nice day. Bye bye.